morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Bess Ray. I'm the owner of Human Touch Home Care, and we're the company that sponsors this workshop. Judy Dorsheimer was here for part one, and she sends regrets that she couldn't be here today. So I'm just going to take a few pictures to send to her, and I won't be here for the whole presentation. Kim will do that, but I did want to just say hello, and if we could go around the room and just give your name.
Elsie Camp.
Diane Mosswell.
Dolores Holland.
Helena Tucker. Peggy Freeman.
Ann Diamond.
Ruth Karras.
Gunther Plusnix.
Kim Sloane. So, I think only one of you was here the last time, which was in the spring. I think it was just
A few months ago.
yeah, the springtime, I think. Which is where we talked about making the decision, should you stay in your home or move to a retirement community. And now this one is focused on you decided to stay. And what we found in the last discussion was, as the conversation evolved, there was a lot of people that really were looking for resources. So we spent some time looking around and gathering information on local people that we or family members had experiences with, so that we feel comfortable saying, this person is somebody that fixed my car, or was my dentist, or simple things like that. So we've now
Stop the leak.
or stop the leak. That's true. You just had a leak, didn't you?
And as Kim was saying, there was a lot of interest in the first part one about, okay, I want to stay home, but how do I do it? How do I do it? Who do I call if the plumbing backs up? Who do I call when my grass needs to be cut? So Kim put this together, and really what this is sharing. And there's a disclaimer that tells you we did not officially vet the people on the resource list. They're just people that we know, one of us has used, or a friend of ours has used, and we thought it was just a place to begin to share resources. My plumber's on here, Brian Spiegelmeyer. I have him on speed dial, you do too. But just a sharing. If you don't know about him, you should. Pip, Erdenheim Auto, mechanic. And there are other great mechanics. And that's really what we have here, just the beginning of sharing of resources to empower you. And then, I'm sorry, Kim, I didn't mean to
Oh, no, thank
start.
you. Thank you. So as we said, part two. So we now know, having experienced the COVID pandemic, that remaining in our own home as we age brings us more than comfort. It brings safety, freedom, connection, independence, and all the things that are important to us. We are in charge in our own homes, as you were just saying. We make the rules, and we don't turn it over into the institution with conditions and policies. Again, what you were just saying, that dinner or lunch is at noon. That may be harmful to us. Here I'd like to quote from an article called Staying at Home versus Moving into a Retirement Community. COVID-19 has illustrated how quickly a virus can spread in a retirement community, but the risk is not new. Our outbreaks of various infections are common in nursing homes and retirement communities where residents share sources of air, food, water, healthcare. Moreover, visitors, staff, and residents constantly coming and going, bringing into pathogens from both the hospital and the community. And this is from a 2003 review in the Journal of Clinical Infectious Disease. So that was almost 20 years ago.
Nothing new, they've known it.
Yeah. In part one, we weighed the pros and cons of aging in place or moving to a community. And the decision is I'm staying put. So this is where we feel like the our resource list might be helpful in that decision. And there's other handouts here that in my research just I came across, like one of them, how long to hold on to your financial thing. Everybody knows 7 years for your tax returns, but I found it really interesting. I thought other people might also. This workshop will focus on the practicalities as well as safety concerns of staying in your own home. It'll give us ideas and resource lists of area service providers. There's no need to dwell on the psychological reason for remaining in our own home, but Bess's husband his comment is, community without agency is called prison.
He doesn't hold back at all. That's how he sums up his feeling about a CCRC.
Well, my mother and I didn't agree on many things, but my mother always referred to those communities as, quote, old age ghettos.
Oh, old age ghettos.
And on that, we
God,
kind of
And then many older people are disabled by the design of the environment around them rather than actually being intrinsically disabled, which is so very true. And in this workshop, we'll ask to look around your house so you can analyze and adapt your surroundings for maximum comfort and safety. The economics of aging in place modifications are compelling. Moving to a typical assisted living facility can cost somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 annually. The cost to widen a residential home bathroom door, put in safety bars, and add a roll-in shower would typically cost between $8,000 and $10,000. So that is very compelling. Staying at home or aging in place is a decision you've made, and in fact, it is a long-term care plan. Now, how to address home safety and accessibility issues? Making adaptations to your home, which add design elements of universal access, is not wasting money. It's adding to the value of your home, and it is an investment. You will benefit immediately from making good safety and access adaptations, and your heirs will benefit in the long run. We realize many of you have already done this home analysis and want to go straight to the part about how to find resources to carry out our plans, but the process is important. So we'll go over a few of the most basic safety adaptations accommodations here. Indoors, stairs should have railings on both sides and good lighting. If there's space for an elevator or a stair glide, is there space? Bathrooms, tub or shower should be accessible. Is the room large enough for a caregiver to assist you in and out of the shower or tub? How about your height of your toilet? Should you replace it with a handicapped toilet? And that's just a higher toilet. Nothing else about it makes it handicapped. Handheld showers, grab bars, non-slip floors. Rearrange your kitchen cabinet so that the things that you use on a daily basis are at the height that you don't have to reach. The walkways are outdoors. Make sure that there's railings there, or consider having a ramp so that you have at least one stair-free entrance. Exterior walkways should be non-slip and well lit. Home security, consider getting a home security system installed. There's several different ways to do this now. And then our survival guide, which it was created, when did you create this, 2020? I think, yeah, 2020, copyrighted 2020. Is a great little document to take a look around, see what you've done, what you need to do, and it's also terrific in keeping a record of all your financial things together, so that somebody, or when somebody needs to know where access to stuff is, that this would help. So that we gave out last time, but I find it really useful.
And it's a survival guide, it's for you. One day you could be temporarily incapacitated and you could need a caregiver to come in and help you. This just gets all the information together in one place that your family, your professional caregiver, would absolutely benefit from knowing. And it's real practical, nitty-gritty stuff like, where's the fuse box? Just basic things like, what's the name of my electrician? How do you reach him? Who cuts the grass? And then there is a separate section that's in there on financial matters, and it was separate so because our lawyer said that piece should be taken out and kept in a safe or only given to your most trusted relative or friend. So we just put our heads together and came up with that. There are other survival guides out there, but this one we do like enough that we put our name on it, and I've given it to my friends, Kim's given it to her friends. And that's another tool to empower you to stay at home.
And that last page, the safe at home checklist, it was put together with the American Occupational Therapy Association, but this too is a great thing to look around your house and use that to note the things that maybe you weren't aware of or you neglected to address, but it is very helpful. And then Judy and I went to a meeting where the woman that gave the speech was like a professional declutterer, basically, and worked a lot with the elderly. And we put together a little memo on what we thought was the highlights of what she said for us to go over. This is missing. Let me grab it.
Are you looking for this?
Yes. Okay. So one drawer at a time, we called it, because that was overall, that was her biggest advice was take your time. Because if you go in at it and you tackle your garage first, you'll walk away. So that was her biggest number one piece of advice was take it small, do it little by little. And like we're saying, thrifting is big now. And so many of these charities will do pickup at your porch or your garage. And almost always you can find that on their website. We also just talked about the Goodwill donations, which, again, if you're going to do it small, take it small. You have one bag, one box. It's easy to do it yourself, but if you're going to tackle, and I like to say too, have a bag or a box, your donation box, somewhere easily accessible so that you can do it, if not every day, 4 times a week or 3 times a week. And again, you can accomplish a lot in 10 minutes. So we recommend you clean one drawer at a time or one cabinet under your kitchen sink or under your bathroom sink, or your son's bedroom drawers that you haven't touched in 20 years. And go through your old medications. So anything that's expired or you no longer use, whether it's over the counter or prescription, get rid of it. I also like to say, whatever flat surface that you use for your bills, go through it every day. I mean, really every day. I throw out my junk mail every day. I don't let it pile up because I have a little basket, I put my bills in it, and then the rest daily, which really helps. And go through your old bills and bank statements and canceled checks and tax returns and obsolete insurance information. Discard the ones that are no longer relevant. I definitely think we recommend that you shred, not discard. And there is another handout here that I found really helpful about the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority on everything from your tax documents to your mortgages to your property records to your bills, your bank record. My mother just recently died and she had her bank statements from 1985. I'm not kidding. It was daunting. I mean, and she had her, now that was probably like sentimental, her first mortgage from 1953, I think. So, and just so your bank statement, your credit card statements, your paycheck stubs, your brokerage statement. So it just breaks it down because everybody thinks like 7 years, but this is very useful. And go through your coat closet. How many winter coats can you wear at once? I mean, if it doesn't fit or you haven't worn it in a year or two, get rid of it. Again, we're not advocating tackling an entire room, one drawer or cabinet, limiting your times to 10 minutes a day. You'll be amazing how much you can do. If you're enjoying it, keep going. But no reason to overdo it. As Beth says, the rewards are many, one of which is that you might reunite with that long lost item that you've forgotten you owned. Buried so deep in a drawer, shake it off. It's good as new. Again, charities will pick up. And then we've listed the Goodwill donation drop-off spots, if you prefer drop-off. And then, I did include, there is a bill that's been introduced on the House floor for tax incentives for if you do home modifications, to get a $30,000 lifetime benefit for singles or $60,000 for couples who file jointly. It's after 59 and a half. It's just been introduced, so it has not become law, but it would be a great thing. And then I think we can go to, and another thing I picked up, the better lighting for seniors. I mean, and now they have these ones that actually just like stick on, like if your stairwell is dark or a long hallway, ones that don't require electrical wiring done. And they are finding, it's newer research, but they are finding that reduction of falls with correct lighting is significant. And then I thought we would go on to our resource list. I started out with the benefits checkup. Connects millions of older adults with benefit programs that can help pay for health care, medicine, food, utilities, and more. It's supposed to be the most comprehensive online tool to connect older Americans to benefit. So a lot of times I think and that's actually sponsored by the National Council on Aging. I think there's a lot of times that benefits people are unaware that they actually qualify for things. So this is supposed to be a very, very useful site. And then there's another very useful online site, is aginginplace.org. It kind of it's a place where everything is consolidated. So whether you're thinking of home remodeling or home care or driving services or whatever it is, it's all in one spot. So it is very, very helpful. Local to Philadelphia is this CARI, which is Center for the Advocacy for the Rights and Interests of Elders. And then of course there's PCA, which is the Philadelphia Corporation for Aging, which also is an incredibly useful organization. They are very, very helpful. And then Organizing Decluttering, which is what I was saying, we had gone to a conference with this woman, and again, 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. And then this is a woman that we recommend that if you do need to tackle your garage or your attic, or you are going to stay in a single home, but you might downsizing, she will help with any of that. She's terrific. She's been doing this for 30 years. And then again, in that same vein of organizing and decluttering is the appraisals and an auction house. If you have things, we listened to him too. He was fascinating. You know, people that think this is junk, and he comes in and says, no, that chair's $5,000. Or they have this dining room table that was their grandmother's, and they think it's worth, $20,000, and they're like, you could get $200 for that. Like, so that, I think, if you are going to do a major downsize, that is worth, I think, knowing what has value and what doesn't. And it might have value to you and you want to give it to your daughter, but to know, and I think there's some unscrupulous people out there that might know that that mid-century, you know, console is, you don't think it's anything, and they know it's worth $5,000, and they offer you $250. So I absolutely think bringing in somebody like this is a good thing. I even included this interior designer. She specializes in aging, decorating for the aging, or she knows placement, the best place to place your dining room, best place to put your couch, where that chair so you're less likely to trip over. So she's that's all she does is work with the elderly. This lawn maintenance and snow removal is my personal. It's two brothers. They are terrific. They took my lawn when I moved in. That was a weed lawn, truly. It was just weeds. It was horrible. And now I have people stop me when they're walking their dogs to say, your lawn is beautiful. So I owe it all to him. I didn't do any of it.
And they do snow removal?
And they do snow removal.
That's hard.
That's
That's
hard to find.
And he's
hard to find.
terrific. He really
Will
is.
you just do snow removal?
He'll do, he'll do just snow removal. That's actually how I found him, was because he was a waiter at a restaurant I went to a lot, and then he told me he went into business with his brother, and there was a big snowstorm a couple years ago, and I called him. I said, I can't do this. It was that snowstorm where it snowed, then it rained, and then it snowed. It was the heaviest snow I ever, and I had moved from this big house into this little house, and I was so happy. I was just gonna, I live on a corner, so I didn't think about that. So anyway, I called him.
What's his name?
His name is Giovanni. It's the G&Y Landscaping. So his brother's the G. Giovanni, Yobanni.
I'm gonna call him.
He's great.
It's nice.
He's really great. And then car mechanics. We talked about this, my ex-husband was a car dealer, so I know they have bad reputations. And it's hard to find somebody that you trust, I think. And Bess has had experience with Pip at Erdenheim Auto Repair, and I've had incredible luck with Giovanni, or Luigi at the 5 Points Golf Center. And I know it's a little further out, but good, honest, decent people. And this house painter, he did my whole house. He's incredibly reasonable. He's so nice. I would look forward to having him over. He was just so pleasant to be around, and he's great, and he's really reasonable. And then Bess can talk to the plumber. I don't know, this is Bess's recommendation.
Clean outs,
What's that?
says clean outs.
Oh, clean outs, did I miss clean outs?
Clean outs and jump.
Oh, yeah, he's terrific also. And I really try to focus on local people, not chains. Like, I at one point used that 1-800-GOT-JUNK. That was the biggest ripoff.
Really?
Oh,
Interesting.
my
I wonder,
gosh.
because they advertise all the time.
Well, and that's,
Yeah.
because they can, I
Yeah.
guess, because they rip off you and me and
Yeah.
whatever, so they can spend the money advertising.
Yeah.
This guy's local in Roxborough. It's him and his son. He's incredibly responsive. He'll take anything. And again, it's two Joes. It's Joe Senior and Joe Junior. And they're great. I missed him because he really is. I would highly recommend somebody like this rather than, what is the other one? College hunks hauling junk or something?
Got a lot of them.
Yeah.
A veteran one, I think, that's called Junk Dog or something.
Oh, yeah, I've seen,
Yeah, I've seen their
Yeah.
truck. Well, and to your point about chains, I've heard a number of people complaining about, Horizon for the plumbing
Oh.
AC. They do all those ads,
Yeah.
and I've had people who
I
it's
have
like,
that.
oh, it's bait and switch.
Well, let me
They'll
tell you, that
it's like
my-
cheap, and then they
Yeah.
come, and then
I've
it's
had them.
a total rip.
And
Were
they
you
always
happy?
find something wrong, no matter if you have a brand new furnace from like a
Yeah,
month ago.
yeah.
There's always some little thing.
Yeah.
Well, that
costs
goes
you
into
several $100s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what I've heard.
Right.
this one
I
that I
got
have
rid of them.
heating and air
Yeah.
conditioning guy, speaking of Horizon, a friend of mine's air conditioner went in the middle of a terrible heat wave, and she called the Horizon. She walks in, it's up on the television or whatever. They come out, $14,000. My heating and plumbing, I said, you can't. You got to call this Tom Garrison. He's terrific. He did it for $7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His mom answers the phone.
Do you know Tom? Yeah.
He did it, he did mine, and he said, you know, you've got two different levels. One I need to do now, but he said, we don't have to do both now. So we did the one, and the other one was working. He said, next year I won't be able to get the same coolant or whatever they
Right.
uses. And he said, so I'll come back next year, just give me a call when it's easy, you know, and it's, yeah.
He really is special.
He's very honest.
Oh, you know him too?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was not able to help me because we had a really high-level heating system put in, a carrier, very technical with computers, and he does not work on those. But he didn't mess with my system and lie to me, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was able to tell me the people I should call
Right.
to get it
Yeah,
taken
he's
care of.
yeah.
So I would definitely use him if I had a regular.
Right. I mean, he was so great. My parents had a row house in Philadelphia downtown, Center City. So
Yeah.
parking was a pain in the rear end, and he was willing to go down and do it for them. And yeah, and so he's been around in our little world for like
Yeah.
30 years.
He is honestly legitimate and
Mhm.
decent.
Yeah.
When they were finishing putting in the AC, this is apropos of nothing, his dad drives up. He just wanted to see how he was doing.
Yeah.
People in my neighborhood, on my street, use him all the time. Everybody.
Do you live in
does.
Flower Town?
No, I'm on Rumford Road in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So they're big old single houses and
Right.
things. And everybody,
Okay.
you know,
Good.
uses him. They love him. So
Well, actually, somebody told me that, yeah, he's so busy, he's booking out, 6 weeks, which is hard
Yeah.
with AC and heat, because
Right,
when you need
right.
it to be
Yeah.
cool or you need it to be warm,
Yeah.
you don't have 6 weeks. But he's really a really decent guy. And Bess, your plumber, can you speak to him, because I don't know him?
Well, I think a lot of people know Brian Spiegelmeyer. It's a family business. They're very responsive, very good. They don't skin you. Very fair. That one I know for sure. And I just put a little asterisk next to Tom Garrison with heating and air conditioning, because I didn't know about that one. The electrician, Entenmann Electric, if I can move on. We've asked them to do some work for us in our house. It's not been done yet, so the jury's out. But,
He's been around a while. I mean, he does get, Denny's in Ambler. That's one of their number one recommendations.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think he, and you'll see his truck, because it'll grab you, because it's like Entenmann's Bakery. He has the same font on his truck as Entenmann's Bakery, although it's spelled differently. And I'll tell you, this McGettigan, who's an electrician in Flower Town, who's been around forever. His daughter played soccer with my daughter when they were little. So I went to him to see if I could add him to this list, and I've known him forever. He said, please don't. He said, I'm trying to retire. And he said, and I said, well, do you have somebody that's young, upcoming, and whatever? He said, no, nobody is going into this field at all. And he said he's stuck not being able to retire because he has these clients that he's had for so long. Right, yep. And then the general contractor. So when we talk about modifications, this guy I can speak to, he's done 3 bathrooms for my sister and a kitchen. He's like family to her. He stops by at Thanksgiving. I mean, he's incredibly honest. Good guy. Good work. He's not cheap. He's not like, it's not a bargain. He's a craftsman. I mean, he grew up in Italy. He's been here for 20 years. His tile work is incredible. He's just again, he's not a bargain, but he's fair, he's kind of middle of the road, and kind of like Tom, there's no baloney. He says it as it is, and he'll give you 3 options. You want this tile, the bargain tile, you want the really expensive, I can't recommend him more. He is just, if you need work done, you should absolutely consider giving him a call. And big work, so if you need to rip out your tub and put in a walk-in shower, or you need to put a bathroom on the first floor, that type of work, is where he shines. And then the mobile shredding, this is a local guy too. When I say local to the Philadelphia region. He's not local to necessarily Chestnut Hill, but again, it's a family-run business. They bring in these, so again, for big stuff, they bring in these trash cans that has a slit, and it's all safety. Everything goes in there, then that goes in to the shredder, which is in a truck.
Right.
They videotape it so that you know that nobody is doing anything. And so they're very reputable.
Do they come to the home?
Yes, they can come to the home.
And do they come with the shredding truck?
Yes.
Oh, they do?
Yep.
So they do it right there on the premises?
Yes. And they have like cameras on their trucks, so they make sure that, and it's all sealed, right? So they come in,
Yeah.
and then, so the shredder truck is there, they don't take it someplace else, which is, I think, very good.
Have you used it?
Yes,
What is the service cost? Do you know?
I used them when I moved 5 years ago, I don't remember,
Okay.
I don't. But it was good.
No,
Yeah.
it's like the paper, you drown in it.
You
I
absolutely,
have bags and boxes in the garage because I'm waiting for a shredding day.
right,
And sometimes you just say, I'll pay.
exactly,
You go to the UPS store, you have to feed it into
Exactly,
the thing,
yeah.
and then they charge you so much.
Right.
And I thought if I could just dump it, when I worked in an office, I used to take it in
right,
and put it in the shredder or
Right.
stand there. I had a little shredder at my desk,
right.
and that gets tired. So I'm just like, I would welcome just to put it in one dump twice a year.
Right.
I would just,
Yeah, no, it is overwhelming, and that's why I say too, like, whatever surface you're using for your daily mail, just get rid of it. I mean,
Yeah, but
3/4
it's
of what, or maybe even more than that, what I get is,
it goes
Trash.
in,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
put
it has
almost all
my
my
name and
stuff online.
address on it.
what's that?
So it has my address on it.
Right, right,
And so I don't wanna recycle it,
right.
so I have these boxes of shredding.
yeah, well, these guys are good. And you know what? When I moved 5 years ago, I started by going to Kinko's, I think,
Yeah,
and I was like, and that wasn't cheap either.
no, no.
And then I wound up, like,
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
realized how much stuff I needed to get rid of,
Right.
I called them. And actually, to tell you the truth, my neighbor, used them too. So like I said, I was calling them, and then,
Right.
so I don't know whether you get a better deal like that.
Right.
And then this handyman, he's local to this area.
He has a Delaware phone number.
I know he does. I don't know why, but he is a local. My kids live in New York, and they have a 215 area code
Mhm.
phone. So
Yeah.
They take their cell phones with them.
yeah. So I don't know that means any. I mean, it doesn't. He is around here.
Do you know him or have
What
you
kind of
used it?
things does this handyman take care of? Can you define any of it?
I mean, as simple as he would put a grab bar in. They say they'll do. Now I know during the height of COVID, you couldn't get anybody. Everybody was doing home stuff, and it was impossible to get an electrician, a plumber, a handyman, whatever. I think things have eased up. So he says no job too small. He fixed a railing on my porch that the bolts had come out, and the people that lived there before me had tied it together. So they repaired my my porch railing and put a screen door on. So that's what I've had done. If you Google him, you will see he does have. That's how I found him, and he does have a gazillion like 5-star reviews. And back to like shredding and old photos, and there is a local guy. Now it's interesting. He's in the frame shop in Lafayette Hill, that shopping center there, and they will digitize your old photos. I mean, you can do this online, but I like to meet the person, see the person, talk to the person. And he's inside the frame shop. And they seem great. We used them recently for when my mother passed away, and we digitized some of her old photos. So that's I had limited experience, but they found them to be very helpful. And then there's this on-demand rides for seniors, which is called Go Grandparents. And it's an interesting story. It was supposedly a young man who lived with his grandmother after, I think, a few failed attempts of some work after college. And they kind of, at the dining room table, came up with this. It's now in 50 states.
Oh, wow.
It's basically, so at first, when I called and talked to them, it's a membership, right? So you're going to pay a membership fee, but they have all these different, like, so your daughter could actually be the one that's scheduling the appointment. You don't need an app like you do with Uber and Lyft, although they do work with Uber and Lyft. But then they have people that are sensitive to people that might need to be dropped off closer to the entrance than at the end of the street, and then they will notify whoever you claim to be your person that mom's arrived at the doctor's. So there, and on top of it, I think one of the biggest features is it doesn't require an app on a smartphone. So anybody that doesn't like the smartphones and they don't have the ability to have an app, you can do this just over the telephone. I think they take your initial information, who it is that you maybe would want to notify when you arrive safely, and they take that over the phone, and then again it eliminates the and there's all different levels of membership. I mean, some of it is like crazy expensive, but the regular one, the standard one, when we really did the math, it really wasn't any more money when they charge you per mile than it would cost all my Uber app.
I've never used it, but I play bridge at a club in Jenkintown, so everybody there is old. And a lot of people there use this.
Oh, do they?
And believe me, they know how to complain if something's not right, and I haven't heard any complaining about this one. So I would say from the experience they've had, it's been pretty good there. And I don't know, is it like locally owned stuff? It must be if it's in 50 states.
Yeah.
I think it's they're based in California, but they partner with Uber, and then they do not just transportation. They'll do medication delivery. They'll do. I think they work with Instacart, so they'll do food delivery, grocery delivery, and. I don't know. I stumbled upon it and I was kind of fascinated by it.
The guy I knew best that used it doesn't live in this area anymore, but his daughter actually arranged for them to come pick him up at a certain time
Right.
to go play bridge, dump him off, and come back approximate
Dump
time
him off.
to
Right,
retrieve it.
right. And you see like reviews that'll say, you know, I was going to a funeral by myself and the weather wasn't great and I was nervous about driving because I'm in a parking spot. And then this driver was wonderful and pulled up right in front of the church. And so, I mean, it does seem like, and you're saying, I'm happy to hear that you know people that have used it.
Well, what was good for this was that, you know, on Uber or Lyft, you can't ask for the same driver to come get you or something.
Right.
In this one, you could arrange for both ends of something.
Right.
And the guy wouldn't have to sit there and wait while somebody called an Uber and
Right.
however long it took for somebody to get there and somebody you didn't know where he's going and all that
Right,
stuff.
yeah. No, I think and like my daughter, she studied abroad during junior year of college, and she was in Australia. But she would, anytime she felt uncomfortable in an Uber, she would share her ride with me. So I would know exactly, my brother would say, what are you gonna do about it? Like, you're in Philadelphia and she's in Sydney, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, well, at least I would know where to, like, direct somebody. But I think that that's the same type of thing. They'll let your loved one know that pickup has happened, drop off has happened, the person's safe. Which I don't know. I found this very interesting.
It's like an extra layer of protection.
Right. Yeah. And I think you're right. If there's some comfort to know that maybe Robert picked you up last Wednesday and Robert's coming back this Wednesday. Because you can get creepy Uber drivers for sure. And the ramp and stair glide, AmRamp, this Kristen, she's great. She's really good. I really like her. She's really an advocate for the disabled and the elderly. I would trust her absolutely.
Does she work in Philly?
She works, they're all over.
Okay.
Westchester is where they're based,
Okay.
but they go.
I just know a neighbor went the handyman route, a good handyman, but a handyman route, to get a ramp put in when her husband at the time was like terminally ill with cancer and they needed a wheelchair up to the house. And then I guess the incline wasn't right or something.
It's like an inch.
So it was just like, even with the best of intentions, I'm not saying that. And then, to make matters even more interesting, it was right on the front of her house. I'm from Abington. Their zoning over there is like, so the next thing that happens is one of the zoning guys is driving by our house and like, oh, I don't remember us getting a permit for that ramp being put in. Now, I think he felt so sorry for her. She's like, I've got a terminally ill husband. I was desperate. Look, the ramp's on it. But this is like a township engineering guy who basically felt sorry enough for her, like she didn't get fined or anything like that. But he also said, you need expertise when you do something like that. I'm not saying that your guy intentionally did it the wrong way, but this is a specialized, needs to be done correctly.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, you just can't go to anybody and say,
Right.
put a ramp here, so.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's a foot for every inch of rise.
Ramps are regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's regulated.
And she's great. She really, she's very
That's good to
involved in
know.
the whole, she's the PCADV. She's there all the time. She's in with a bunch of stuff. She's very good. And so is this Aora Independence. She will come in and help you when we say take a look around and see what you need to do and use that checklist. She is a OTPT, and she will come in and say, no, you need to change this, you need to do that, you need to put that better lighting in here, so she's a great person to say, okay, I'm staying put, bring her in, again, a real advocate.
Kim, may I say one thing?
Sure.
I think that, I don't know what they charge, Aurora Independence, but I have heard that if you want to have your home assessed for safety, it can be done through the Visiting Nurse Association at whatever cost your insurance would pay for it. Then they will send an OT or a PT in to do an evaluation of your home. So you might want to start there.
What is it, visiting nurse?
The Visiting Nurse Association, the VNA.
I don't know what PCA does. See, I'm not Philadelphia, I'm Montgomery County. Montgomery County Aging and Adult Services has trained people. I think there's a waiting list maybe. They don't come out immediately, but somebody told me they waited like 3 weeks for a relative. And they came and it's a county service, so I think if she paid anything, it was not much
Right.
money.
And I think
Basically to
insurance
look at
pays.
stair safety, and PCA might have some
Right.
good resources
Yeah.
on that for Philadelphia people.
Right.
They used to, I don't know if I don't know how it is now, but
Right.
20 years ago,
Yeah.
I literally moved, to take my mother and my aunt in. Because my aunt was a widow with no children, and my mom couldn't be alone and she couldn't be alone, and they didn't want to be in a nursing home and all. So we moved, and I still had children
Wow.
at home. So it really was
Crazy time.
interesting. But anyway, PGA came out, and they had people that would visit with me, and they helped, me assess what
Yeah.
needed to be
Yeah.
done, and so that it was easy
Right,
to
yeah.
do.
Well, that's good to know, for
So
sure.
how-
Same thing should be able to get done.
Excuse me?
Montgomery County.
Aging and Adult Services, if you contact Aging
I don't
and
know
Adult
whether they
Services,
do the same
I
kind of thing
believe they
now.
do this
Right.
type of- or they used to.
Used to be Debbie
the
Alco
person I
used to
talked
run
to
that
had
twenty-
done
But
several
the woman
things
was
during
very
pandemic.
helpful.
But she said
Yeah,
she had to wait a
I,
few
um,
weeks, but they came out to her home.
Used to work with the
She wanted them
Debbie
to assess,
Alco,
like, is my
ran
hand acceptable for
PCA,
one of these
and
stair
so they
gliders?
don't,
Yeah.
they
She also
seem
wanted
to
some
have a lot of
suggestions on
services
grab
for
bars
city
and things
people.
like that, so.
I would imagine the services have grown rather than, yeah, yeah.
But sometimes they get so big, they have to pull back
Yeah.
on certain kinds of things too, but they were very helpful at that time.
Right.
But
So yes, I did not know that, so that is very good to know. And then I just listed the food delivery, which is pretty basic. Almost all of them now, as long as you spend over a certain amount, the delivery's free. But again, I have to do it online. And then we listed some geriatricians that were local, or not even the one down at Penn, down on the main campus. And then a guy in Chestnut Hill. And then we did 2 home visit doctors that will come to the home. One in Hatboro, one in East Falls. And the dentists are local, and Bess uses one, I use the other. And then elder lawyers, which are great to have. They really do help take care of you. And then this estate planning coordinator, this was Judy's recommendation that he came to her and really kind of helped her understand Medicare, and all the options, and what plan should she get and what plan doesn't she need, and so she found that to be very helpful. I just dealt with this with my mother with the POAs. My mother had one. Her financial POA was my sister, and I was the health one. And my sister thought that she should be both. And it was interesting. And thank goodness. I knew my mother had this, and I knew I was the one that was going to be the one that was going to make the decision. My sister would have kept her alive till she was 112, with no quality of life. And my mother in 1991 was smart enough to know her 4 children and know which one would be the one that would say, who's the most practical, and that was me. So when my mother was in very bad shape, of course my mother didn't give us the paper beforehand. We went through everything, and like I said, she kept her stuff since 1985. It was, and I'm not exaggerating, it was the last piece of paper that we took out, and there it was. And I knew what it was, because she had told me she did it when she did it. But I guess she never told my sister. And honest to God, I thought she was gonna throw a book at my head, because I was like, here it is, and then she called me Dr. Death.
Oh.
And yeah, it really, so, please do this.
stuff is hard.
Yeah, it was really hard, but I knew and then she would say to me, this is from 1991. I'm like, yeah, when she was 65 years old and she was totally lucid. That's when she wrote this. It was really maddening. So please do this for your family. I mean, really. And we've mended our our fence, but it was ugly in a very sad time. And I didn't take it lightly, but I wanted to do what my mother wanted.
Exactly. That's what
So,
you're supposed to be, your mother's agent. you know.
Yes.
So, yeah, you're
Yeah.
supposed to carry out what she wants, not what would make you feel good.
Right.
So,
That's
or
right.
better.
exactly. And it was, and it was ugly couple years for her health. So, when she called me Dr. Death, I didn't talk to her for a little while after that. And then she kind of got my brother on her side. So, anyway, I highly recommend you have both because it's vital for the people that are you're leaving behind too. And then we have these services to age in place. These life managers,
She was here recently, Bodie had.
Bodie, I went to high school with her actually.
Yeah, she was a real
Yeah,
Bodie recently.
yeah,
Both?
yeah.
She's nice.
Yeah, she's really nice, yeah. But she's great with helping with household stuff, and organizing and being an extra set of ears, and she's bright and she's great. So if you need help with that, I would absolutely utilize her. And then
She also has experience working with families, therefore experience with attorneys
Mhm.
and elder care
right,
lawyers and
Right.
all, and financial people. So has a sense of who really carries forth what's needed,
Yeah, the big
Yeah.
picture.
as
And,
opposed to just, oh, they're out there.
right, yeah. No, that's great because to get a recommendation like that, especially when we're talking about financial stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not all of them really follow through on what you personally need.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
she's worked with these people
Mhm.
and watched what happened with
Right.
families, so she's aware.
Yes, absolutely. And she, I think, seems to work a lot with families where the parents are here local and the kids are in Boston or
Yeah.
She said that.
Miami or whatever. So I think that she's a great resource there too, where the children can feel like they're getting the real information. No, I shouldn't say real information, but the correct information in case the parents are, a little confused or not sure or didn't hear right, or so she's great with that. And then the geriatric care manager, Beth's put something together with that, and there's a woman locally, she's in Chestnut Hill, and her name is Liz Dunleavy, and she's terrific. She's got a couple social workers that she works with, and case managers, and we work with her, like just recently, she had a client that needed some house modifications, but also needed some home care, but she couldn't afford it, and she had multiple sclerosis. And she went to the MS Society and got a grant to provide the care in home. So she's got a good heart. She's now, I won't tell you it's cheap. It's not cheap. But I would absolutely trust her that she's doing the right thing. And then we kind of broke it down to what does a geriatric care manager do? They can be especially helpful, again, when family members are far away from their loved ones. According to the National Institute of Aging, they address emotional concerns, make home visits, and suggest needed services, evaluate in-home care needs, select care personnel, coordinate medical services, evaluate other living arrangements, and provide caregiver stress relief. The cost of an initial evaluation varies and may be expensive, but depending on the family circumstances, geriatric care managers might offer a useful service to help family members stay in touch. They generally charge by the hour. Most insurance plans don't cover these costs, and Medicare does not pay for the service. As getting geriatric care manager, you're considering hiring, whether they're licensed and how she is, and how long they've been in business. The woman that she works with, Bonnie, she worked for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia for any of their elder care ministries that they had, where she for years worked with, she would help them housebound she'd bring them food, she'd pay their bills, she'd pay their taxes. They're good people, but again, it's not for everybody. But it can, I just had a friend use her recently where the mother was diagnosed with a brain tumor. The father was absolutely in denial that there was anything wrong with her. She's fine, she can do this, she can do that, she can do this. And the 5 kids said, this woman came in and kind of said to him, no, she can't. You can't do that. You either need to modify this or modify that or move. But they found great comfort in her because he wouldn't listen to them. So that was, and in the same breath is the guardian nurses. They're right here in Flowertown also. They're actually in a couple different states now, but they're based in Flowertown. And this Betty Long, she's been there forever, I think 30 some years. And they're nurse advocates. So they help you navigate the complicated medical world. So if there's, and they actually get contracted a lot through unions. It'll be a benefit for union members where they broke their arm and the surgery was done incorrectly and nobody wants to admit it, whatever, they come in and they kind of navigate for you. So that's our...
What's the difference between the life manager and the geriatric care manager?
So the life manager is basically, that's her name of her company. And so they do billing, like all your bills, they'll be the one that she'll advise you on a good elder care lawyer, she'll advise you on a good geriatrician, she'll take you to the doctors and be the next set of ears. So that is the name of her company. And then the geriatric care manager, not everybody meets by any stretch. I mean, it's usually situations like I just said, like the family could not get through to the dad. He was like, there's nothing wrong with her. And there was, she had a brain tumor, she was falling, she was tripping, I mean, it was a nightmare. But guess what? She did come in and she presented what was going on, and guess what? They're moving into the Sonic Village.
Oh,
So,
heard good things.
yeah, so that is our,
Well, this is great, thank you, it's very helpful.
well, good, I'm glad. I mean,
No,
it's
it's really important.
nice to have people that somebody's had experience with. I mean, like a Tom Garrison. And like you said, he couldn't help you, but he,
It's okay, I would recommend it. He's
Right.
very honest.